Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Script Department. Today, I'm joined by Millie, who's going to give her review of The Fabelmans. Welcome to the show, Millie. Very nice to see you. This is going to be a spoiler-free review on this here YouTube. But if you want the spoiled version, you want to hear what we really think, and then what I think of it afterwards as well, then feel free to pop over to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, that kind of places. So, Millie, over to you. What did you make of The Fabelmans?
You know what? It was so good. I was so blown away that I actually went to see it twice at the cinema. And if I had enough money, I would go and see it probably every day or 4 times. I'm that person. But I absolutely fell in love with it. And like everyone says, it's a cinematic memoir of family childhood, obviously based on events that happened in Spielberg's life. And even the film was so good that because I knew some of it was based on Spielberg's life, afterwards I literally went home and I started researching about Steven Spielberg and wanted to know sort of how much was part of his life and sort of all the stories, because it was just, I was so blown away by it. But like I found things out that it was written, I didn't realize it was written in lockdown, and it took about 2 months to write, between Tony and Spielberg. So it was like completed from sort of October to December. And then sort of I think it was shot sort of in between lockdown. But yeah, it's one of those films that I'm gonna get on DVD. I'm gonna be watching it all the time. I've got the soundtrack already and the music. It's brilliant. But what I thought was really good is that there was so many different themes that especially really related to me and would relate to a lot of people. But I really think it will hit home with not everyone but creatives, especially because I think or just in general, the message for me, there's so many messages in this story, but the main message that I took away, which so the main character, he's called Sammy. So Sammy's mother repeatedly says, which is what I took away. She was always saying, sort of, what's your calling in life? Sort of, what do you want to do? And I think it's really sort of that's important. It's about sort of what is your calling? What's your passion in life? Whereas, so the main protagonist, Sammy, his passion is filmmaking. He wants to make films, and it's sort of about him persevering through that, trying to fulfill his passion of filmmaking. There can be there's a bit of sort of conflict between his parents, because his mum's really sort of supportive of what he wants to do, and so is his father, but his father does sort of refer to his creative sort of flair as this sort of hobby, which that's the thing that I'm pretty sure a lot of people will relate to, because trying to be a filmmaker in general is it's one of those things when you say to people, I'm going to be a filmmaker, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's not like an office job or something.
I did stir in my chair a little bit at that in the theatre. I kind of, you bristle a little bit when you recognise something like that, I think, don't you?
Yeah, literally, as soon as sort of his dad, sort of Sammy's dad, kept saying that, like, oh, it's this is a hobby, or can you sort of just put your hobby to one side, and it almost really sort of like, I was like, oh my gosh, sort of hit home, because I'm sure we've all been told that every once in a while at some point. But I really thought there was a good variety of characters as well. So Sammy, the main character, was played by a guy called Gabriel, and I thought that he brought such a sort of warmth and really good vulnerability to the role. He just the way it made, even though I love filmmaking anyway, his sort of love for filmmaking and his flair for it really made, and the way he played the character, it really made us sympathise and really love filmmaking and care about it as much as he did, which I think is really important from the start. In the setup, we knew, as he was younger growing up, he's making these films with his dad's camera. I think that was it. It just hooked you from the start, which was really good.
It's a young guy as well. The Sammy character is the kind of the Spielberg surrogate, I suppose, in this, and and played by two brilliant actors. But the chap who kind of takes over when he gets a little bit older, absolutely spellbinding. You know, would you agree? Just like
Yeah, absolutely. He was just so, the character was so sort of authentic and genuine,
mm,
and the actor was absolutely brilliant. And there was just so many um, things that you were drawn to or you could relate to. Um, so I think that was sort of what really sort of strengthened the story. It was in general, do you know, as a structurally, it was a very strong story.
yeah,
I was trying to be that boring person at the cinema because I love writing. I was
yeah,
trying to be that boring person and go, this is act one, this is act two, this is act three. And you know what? I know they say it's a sign of a good story if you can't dictate where the benchmarks are. I
mm.
couldn't find them because it was put so
Interesting.
yeah, literally
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
put so smoothly together. And I was really trying to like pick it apart and stuff, but no, it was really good. I just thought it just all just transitioned really smoothly
Yeah.
into each act.
You're in good company here, though, for picking apart things like that. That is not a sad thing to do here at the script department. John has been known to watch films with the timeline up, so he can see exactly where all the beats of the movie lie in terms of the time in the film. So you're in good company there. You've not reached John levels of structural observation yet, so you're all right. Don't worry about it.
Do you know what? I think I do that on Netflix with other films, so I might be guilty of that as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm with you on that one. But just even like, so I thought all the acts were brilliantly written. I'll probably say, obviously, no spoilers, but the end. I feel like towards sort of Act Three, we just get to, because it's a story about Sammy growing up and sort of going through sort of adolescence, and dealing with sort of different obstacles and struggles, and sort of life with his family. The sort of, I feel like as we got to the end of the film, he'd, as a character, Sammy had just kind of got his foot in the door
Hmm.
into sort of the filmmaking world and what he wants to do. And as much as sort of like there's no, this film's so brilliant, there's nothing sort of bad I could say, but I could, when it got to the end, I was almost a bit like no, because I wanted, because it kind of just ended where it would had begun on his sort of filmmaking journey,
Yeah,
sort of as an adult or into the film world. And I really wanted to sort of watch more and see this next chapter.
yeah.
So it ended in a good way, that kept me sort of wanting more. But no, it was, yeah, it was absolutely brilliant.
It's a marvel. I totally agree with you. It's a marvelous movie, and I'll unpack what I think a little bit more later on in the audio version. But that, speaking of the ending again, no spoilers here. It's quite an ending, isn't it? It does kind of it's quite an ending. The way I don't think I certainly didn't see that coming. The kind of where this ends up, I think is quite compelling. Would you
Yeah,
agree?
and do you know what? Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what, in general, I actually think not only it's a story that engages people, is emotive, I actually think it's like a secret map, for filmmakers about almost
Yeah.
tips on how to make a film. Because I loved it. Not only I was watching it and thinking, oh, this is really good. It was written really brilliantly, and the dialogue, which I'll talk about.
Mm.
But there was so many, I feel like little tips or hints about how to make a film, or just sort of one-liners, that people would share, like
Yeah.
even like Sammy about how he was learning to um, do sort of editing in the cutting room and stuff. I thought it was like almost like a secret sort of, they were giving out loads of little golden nuggets on actually how to be a filmmaker, and I
Yeah,
thought that was
yeah.
really good as well.
Oh, brilliant, lovely. Thank you, Millie. That was it's excellent. Like I say, we're gonna dive into this in more depth, and we will spoil the Fabelmans over in audio world. So you can check us out there, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, places like that. So yeah, until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in audio form. So take care. Bye bye, everyone. Thanks so much for watching our video, everybody. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can like us and subscribe to us over here on YouTube. And if you want to hear more of this conversation, head over to Spotify, Apple, places like that for a much longer version. But for now, YouTube thinks you'll like these ones. They look pretty good. I reckon you should check it out, especially that top one. Ooh, nice.